Hello everybody, BeMetalways here. Welcome to another weekly heavy metal album review. This week I'm reviewing In Flames' Foregone, released by Nuclear Blast Records on February 10th, 2023. In case you've been living under a rock, In Flames is a Swedish heavy metal band formed in Gothenburg in 1990, and alongside with At the Gates and Dark Tranquillity, In Flames pioneered the genres known as Swedish death metal and melodic death metal. Their 90s albums are classic melodeath must-haves, but then their sixth studio album, Reroute to Remain from 2002, showed the band moving toward a newer style of music. They moved away from melodic death metal and closer to alternative metal. This decision was criticized by fans of the group's heavier, earlier metal sound. However, it of course increased the band's mainstream audience and boosted their album sales. I came to know the band in the year 2000 when I saw them during the tour of Clayman, and that was my first In Flames album, and I love that album. I did lost touch with them after this album, and then I came back to listen to them with the release of Sounds of a Playground Fading in 2011, which I surprisingly like quite a lot, but I know it's not one of their favorite albums by the old-time fans. But the three albums after that were really not for me. So I have been waiting for 12 years for an In Flames album that I actually like. So let's talk about Foregone. Foregone is their 14th studio album. It is the first album by the band to feature guitarist Chris Broderick and the first to entirely feature drums performed by Tanner Wayne. It features 12 songs in 47 minutes, including The Beginning of All Things, a 2-minute intro with acoustic guitars and symphonic arrangements. The album marks a return to their classic 90s elements without losing their more recent influences. As a result, many songs are quite heavy and mostly with death growls, while others have a mix of growls and clean vocals. The focus on melody is a continuous staple in their sound. Following the instrumental intro that I talked about, the album kicks off with the high-energy track State of Slow Decay, which is old school In Flames. I really enjoy this track. Fast-paced guitar riffs, aggressive singing, relentless drumming, and melodic guitar solos. It's a perfect opener that demonstrates In Flames' ability to write memorable hooks while still maintaining their heaviness. Another standout track on the album is Meet Your Maker, which is also a heavy track with a lot of groove and catchy chorus. Foregone Part 1, it's so Colony, really reminds me of the great album Colony. I love it. And Part 2 is still okay, but it's a much mellower song. Still, the guitar work in that heavy pre-chorus makes it an interesting song, and it reminds me of Sounds of a Playground Fading era. Throughout the album, the band seamlessly blends their heavier roots with the melodic sensibility of the 2000s. Bleeding Out is a clear example of that. It features heavy and engaging guitar riffs and a very cool guitar solo, kind of Malmsteen at half speed. On the other hand, the verse and chorus go so much more into their softer melodic side of the last few albums. It sounds to me like Bullet for My Valentine, which is not really a compliment. Then, at track number 7, we hit the sort of ballad Pure Light of Mind, and I must say it's not too bad. I mean, by the time we get there, I am super invested in the album, and while I'll never love the song, I think it bridges well into the single The Great Deceiver, which is again a punch in the face and a back to 90s In Flames. And the transmission closes the album in a high note, a heavy mid-tempo song that balances early sound with the direction of latest albums, so it's a good summary of the album and a good way to close it. Now, In Flames' musicianship is top-notch throughout Foregone, especially when it comes to the guitar work. The melodic and short guitar solos are memorable, and Chris Broderick's contribution is a big plus for the band. They could even use him more, hopefully in the next album. In addition, there are some harmonized guitars and tons of cool chugging heavy riffs. The keyboards are on the background only, and the rhythmic section does a good job holding the album together. I also really like Anders Fried's harsh vocals delivery, and there's a lot of it on this album. The clean vocals, though, are super weird. I'm not sure what it is, but it sounds overproduced and almost artificial at times. I don't know if it's auto-tune involved. Really not good. And if I continue to be picky, because I already mentioned something, I do struggle with albums with more than 10 songs, and it's no different here. All in all, the last one-third of the album is not so strong. In the Dark is a mid-tempo, groovy and heavy song, but I'm not sure where this is going. Then the same for a dialogue in B-flat minor. Both feel like they were trying too hard to build a catchy chorus, but it didn't work. Then Cynosure, I guess, doesn't help to bring me back into the album. And that's my main problem with this album. The length of it, the last part of the album, and the clean singing. And I'm sure many old-time fans won't like this album at all because of this still very prominent modern In Flames sound. While that side of the album is not my favorite, at least this time around, it is quite okay as a whole. Overall, Foregone is the best In Flames album in many years, and while some songs really bring me back to their 90s sound, the band has still maintained their later alt-rock influences very much alive. I just think the songwriting and the balance is much better than in previous albums. At the end of the day, it may just be that I really wanted to like a new album from In Flames, so much so I'm glancing over the overproduced vocals and the moments that they sound like Bullet for My Valentines. I'm ignoring a little bit of all of that so I could finally enjoy an In Flames album. With that said, it's a very good effort, deserving 82 out of 100. And I will stop here. Thanks for being here, for listening, and let me know your thoughts, and BeMetalways!